Okay, hi everyone. My name is Marcin Chudy. I'm a senior Flutter developer at LeanCode, and over the few recent years, I've worked with multiple enterprise clients, helping them adopt Flutter, and some of those projects involved add-to-app, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. So, what is add-to-app? So, add-to-app, in principle, is a way to add Flutter to your existing native iOS and Android applications. So the case is you have a large enterprise app and you cannot just rewrite it to Flutter easily. It's too huge. There are large teams working on it. You need to maintain it. So that's where add-to-app comes in. And with add-to-app, you can rewrite some of your screens to Flutter and the rest is kept native. There are also ways to embed Flutter views inside native screens and vice versa. And I want to give you two short stories to start with. So our first case of add-to-app was Millennium Bank, one of the largest banks in Poland, with over 2 million monthly active users in their main app. And that project was a bit unusual because the add-to-app part never went to production, but the add-to-app part was a proof of concept to show stakeholders that if we add Flutter to their existing native app, the Flutter works as it should, and it's you cannot distinguish native from Flutter. So we rebuilt one module in Flutter. It was successful, and then we proceeded with writing a new project in Flutter from scratch. But in general, from the developer's perspective, we didn't have a great time with add-to-app back then. So there were performance issues, an optimization technique, which our engine groups weren't available at that time yet. And we had to deal with a lot of issues with debugging, background processing, and stuff like that. But now let's move on to today. Today we're doing add-to-app again. We had some add-to-app projects in between, but that's the most recent work. We're working with SoftNet, and it's again a banking app, but it's a bit different case. So this is a white label banking app for Polish cooperative banks. So in Poland, we have a lot of small regional cooperative banks, and they all need to provide some mobile app experience to their users. But there are small banks, so they don't want to write those apps themselves. So this is a solution to their problem. And we are approaching add-to-app here. So the goal is to rewrite the whole app to Flutter. We are approaching it with a strategy that seems to be working really well. So the first thing to rewrite was a module for different type of customers. So basically, the idea was that if you're a retail customer, you log in, you go to a native part of the app, and it stays as is. But for business customers, they would land up in a Flutter module, basically. So that was a good choice for integration because it didn't have so many points to integrate with the native platform. And after that, we have a backlog. We're rewriting module by module. The first one was also a self-contained module, which was currency exchange. And we have an end goal of flipping the shell, so making the native app a Flutter app with some native screens in between. And I want to give you an interesting case as a side note, which is a problem that is typical to add-to-app. So it's that in this case, as it's a white label app, you have the status bar, navigation bar on Android, you probably know it. They can have different colors, and they need to have different colors for different type of tenants in this app. And it turned out the logic was very complicated to rewrite to Flutter. So in the end, we decided to leave it native for now and just render Flutter inside. Because you can render Flutter only part of the screen. You don't have to render the status bar natively. What's more interesting, on iOS, it was actually easier to rewrite this to Flutter, and the whole view is Flutter. But the content that's inside is the same for both platforms, as it's Flutter. Okay, so those were the two case studies. Now I want to show you a general view on Add-to-App. So the truth is there are still some missing bits. There are still some pain points related to Add-to-App. One of them that we've also had recently is lack of support for Swift Package Manager. On iOS, Swift Package Manager is now the standard for standalone Flutter apps, but it's still not supported in Add-to-App. I know it's the work is being done on that by Flutter team, but it's still, we had to find some workarounds for that. There are still some developer experience gaps. So hot reload is not as reliable as in pure Flutter apps. You still have to handle multiple IDEs for debugging. And most importantly, you have to write a lot of glue code contracts between native and Flutter to pass data around. So this is stuff that you don't have to handle in standalone Flutter apps. And I managed a couple of minutes without mentioning AI, but here it is, finally. It's very subjective. We don't have any hard metrics for it, but we feel like AI tooling is not as great as with standalone Flutter apps in add-to-app scenarios. Probably not much training material for that. But we feel like, especially at the beginning, add-to-app setup is complex because we're dealing with enterprise apps. They are large. Every app is different. Every app has a lot of custom stuff. So AI has a hard time to pick it all up, especially to set up everything for add-to-app. But there have been some improvements, especially regarding to performance. So you might have heard that at Google I/O, very recently, Hybrid Composition++ was introduced. So this is a performance optimization for native via embedding on Android. And it's not only for add-to-app, but also for add-to-app. Engine groups, this is quite old now, but it's been one of the greatest additions to add-to-app. That's, again, a performance improvement. I'm not going to go too technical here. Another one, Dart on the main thread. So the thread merging work done in Flutter, also positive impact on add-to-app. And in general, what I think you should always have if you're considering add-to-app is have a right strategy. So first of all, it's definitely easier to rewrite self-contained isolated modules rather than rewriting random stuff. Auditing the native code is crucial because to rewrite a screen, you have to understand the native code. If the native code is of bad quality, it's going to take much more effort to rewrite it to Flutter. Training the existing team, so typically you want to transition your native developers to Flutter developers. That's also a big part of add-to-app adoption. And planning the full switch from day one. So you might forget that at the end you want the whole app to become Flutter, and add-to-app is not a great state to be forever in. So it's good to have a plan for a switch. And a counterexample of what might not be the best idea is the business sometimes wants the Flutter to have the biggest impact. So the idea might be that let's rewrite home screen first, because every customer sees it. We can run A/B tests on it. We can see if Flutter is actually better than native. But the problem is that in large apps, home screen does everything. So it has to integrate with every native module. In this case, there's also a problem with some proprietary SDKs that had their native widgets. So effectively, it's hard to rewrite everything to Flutter easily. And it's just better to start with some isolated modules. So in general, our recommendation after years, we were a bit skeptical about add-to-app a couple of years back, but now we really think it's a good solution for many customers. But you need to approach it with the right strategy. So you really have to plan your work well for it to be successful. We're now doing some research at LeanCode, trying to find a way to provide some tooling for add-to-app that can be used by multiple customers. It's a bit tricky to do because every app is different, but that's some kind of research that we're doing right now. Thank you. That's all.